Hello and welcome to Lunch Therapy. This is Interview Friday. I've got my co-host Boney here. We're interviewing Paul Distefano, wonderful actor, filmmaker, hockey player, muralist, dancer, magician. Let's get into this thing. Renaissance man.
Lunacy by Joe Fiore. It's madness.
I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 Hi, welcome to Lunch Therapy. I'm your host, Joel Marshall. This is Interview Friday. I'm your host, Joel Marshall. Yeah, there's a little bit more enthusiasm there. Patreons, thank you so much for being Patreons of the thing. You can be a Patreon of this show, Lunch Therapy, by going to patreon.com/Joel Marshall. I want to thank all of my Patreons down below there. Jay Patterson, Pam Palmieri, Neil Phillip, Seth Word, all you great people out there for patronizing the show. This is in its 6th year. This is Interview Friday, which is our Friday show. We have a Tuesday show called Barefoot Tuesday, where we do a quiz and we give away mucho dinero. And on the 25th of July, we're going to be having our live show, all comedians. Many of them have been on the show. It's at the Visionarium in South Pasadena, so if you can make it out there, the 25th. I'll put a link in the show notes where you can buy tickets. And there's food, beautiful Italian food. Italian like my guest today. Laugh Therapy, Saturday, July 25th. Adam Barnhart, John Flanagan, Joel Marshall, that's me, Catherine Yoon, Ginny Sykes, Chris Walsh, and a mentalist, Adrian Saint. All right, so thanks everybody for being here. Let's get into the breathing so we can get to our guest. Madness. Madness is underrated. Yes, that's Joe Furey's cologne. Lunacy at the beginning of the show. He's been on the show many times. Joe Furey is an international superstar. This behind me is Healing Vibrations. This is how we do our calming of our nervous system at the beginning of the show. That cat is named Perseus. And Travis Schumacher is playing the Tibetan bowls here for your enjoyment, to help your vagus nerve or whatever it is that calms you the F down. So we're going to do our breathing here, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. One more time. Breath in. Breath out. It's called box breathing. Ancient art of box breathing. Ancient technique, perhaps. Now I'm going to show you a red panda munching on bamboo. It's another. This is from the Oregon Zoo. This is a red panda. Adorable red panda munches on bamboo. It is adorable, I think. Every once in a while you gotta stop and smell the pandas. Just a little reminder there for everybody. Great place to do that is the Oregon Zoo up there in Portland, Oregon. Not a sponsor of ours, but definitely a contributor. So there's your panda for you. A lot of times on the show we have music, and a lot of times it's from a handpan player named Marcel Hutter. And Marcel Hutter is one of the premier handpan players in the world. This is a fairly new instrument, came about in early 2000s, but it seems like an ancient instrument. This is his latest music video that just dropped like 3 days ago. He's now incorporating some synthesizer. It does. They gotta be related. Go over to his YouTube channel, Marcel Hutter Music. Not now, of course, because we have an interview. Let's get into this thing. So that was Marcel. Amazing, amazing performer. I have also with me here today, live, an amazing performer from Colorado, Paul Distefano. He refuses to pick a lane. He was a professional hockey player. Made money playing hockey, then got into dance somehow. We're going to ask him how that happened. I don't know. Seems like a strange transition. Danced for the Pilobolus Dance Theater, a dance theater named after fungus, but amazing, incredible what they do with their bodies, these people. Toured the world with them. He was a magician as well. Studied clowning and magic and performing at the Edinburgh International Magic Festival. Somewhere along the line, he moved to filmmaking, acting, voice work, motion capture. He was on the show Showtime's United States of Tara. Then he stepped behind the camera. Some of the things he made also in front of the camera. I guess he's behind the camera and in front of it at the same time. Dancing, made a lot of dance films. You'll see a little bit of one here in a moment. And then has moved to feature films. I met him at Ivana Chubbuck's studio. You meet all kinds of incredible people there. A lot of guests on my show have been people that I've met there. I worked on his latest film, feature film, The Card Mechanic, coming to a theater near you. Filmed in the UK. I don't know. There's a lot to get into with this guy because he's just prolific, I guess. Prolific. All right. Interview Friday with Paul Distefano. Paul Distefano, welcome to Lunch Therapy.
Thank you.
Wow, you know, Joe Fury, I think, wishes he was you in that it's a commercial at the beginning for Lunacy. He doesn't quite have the moves that you have, though.
Listen, I loved that. I think, I didn't realize that wombats actually go surfing, but now I know they do.
Wombats,
So
man. Wombats and badgers.
Yeah,
They're
that's
amazing.
Right.
We try and get as many animals on surfboards on this show as possible.
Yeah.
So
and red
great.
Pandas too.
Yeah, pandas. That red panda. Do you like red pandas?
Oh, I do now. I mean, I know I did. I actually have seen them at the Edinburgh Zoo.
You have.
They're funny little creatures.
They are. They're the original panda. Everybody thinks of giant pandas when they think of pandas, but I think the red panda's been around longer. Don't quote me.
They're the original. They're the OG. The OG panda.
OG pandas, and they're a lot like raccoons. Our viewer Camila Lopez said that she thought they looked like the raccoons in our backyard.
Oh yeah.
So you're coming to us all the way from Colorado.
I am. I'm up in the mountains, so my internet connection might be a bit all over the place. So hopefully we don't have any issues. Yeah, well, hopefully not.
Seems pretty good. She says that was truly gorgeous. It was gorgeous. Amazing. So, okay, I want to get right down to the beginning because I want to see how this life of yours has evolved. Because it's a different path than anybody I know. I've had on this show, I've had magicians, I've had clowns, I've had filmmakers, actors, probably hockey players, muralists for sure. But I've never had somebody that's all of those things. Never. So
Wow.
what? Okay, did you grow up in Colorado?
I did. I grew up in Southwest Colorado. I grew up in Telluride.
Oh,
Um,
Telluride.
little, yeah, little famous ski bum town
Did you go
slash
to
film
the
festival
film
town.
festival and all that stuff?
You bet. I grew up going to films, both the mountain film and the and show, the Telluride Film Festival. And I mean, that was one of my original inspirations for film ever since can remember. I always loved, that was my favorite festival, always.
Yeah,
And they would turn every major building in our town into some sort of a theater. So
incredible, incredible.
yeah.
Did you ski too?
Oh
Were you
yeah, you
skiing?
bet. I mean, I started skiing when I was 2,
You did.
started playing hockey when I was about 5, you
Oh my
know,
God.
and loved it. It was just that was ate, slept, what's the thing? Eat, sleep, drink,
Yeah,
hockey. That was my whole passion.
that was your
Because when I was
passion.
a kid, the Colorado Avalanche, they came to Colorado they used to be the Quebec Nordiques, and they came,
Mhm.
and the first year they came, they won the Stanley Cup, and it just turned Colorado into hockey crazy.
Oh wow.
We went hockey crazy. So, and then a lot of people from the kids in my hometown, a lot of their parents were from the East Coast. So a lot of New Yorkers, Bostonians, a lot of New Yorkers, and people from Minnesota, people from up north, some Canadians, lived in Telluride, and so they brought the game. And we have a really funny name for our local hockey club. They're called the Lizard Heads.
So were
And
you a lizard head?
I was a lizard head.
Really?
And I was one of the original lizard heads, really, because there was one group of kids before us that were really the originals, but there wasn't enough of them to really compete. And so my generation was the first generation to really be able to go and compete with other teams in Colorado. And so I was an original lizard head. And that's probably like where I learned most of my work ethic in my life was through sports, and namely ice hockey, because it's probably, in my opinion, maybe I'm just biased, but played a lot of sports, and
Mhm.
it's probably one of the hardest things you can do athletically, because there's just so many aspects
Yeah, there
of
is.
what you need to do. So
How did
yeah.
how how did you get to dance from? Well, okay, wait. Were you working professionally as a hockey player at some point? Because I think that you said
Um,
that.
I did, but very much way later, and
Yeah,
it wasn't like the glories of NHL or AHL or anything like
yeah.
that. I much later I moved to the UK, and
Why did you move
and
there?
I married a gal who's from Scotland,
Yeah, it's always
and
that.
yeah,
It's always that.
and it's always that, and I ended up, after about, whatever, I guess 5 or 6 years, a little bit longer than that, maybe. I um I ended up playing men's league, just open men's league hockey.
Oh,
And there was a guy there who was a pro in the UK Pro League, of all
yeah.
places to play hockey. They're not known for their hockey. But he was playing, and he's like, "Wow, you're really good. You should come and practice with us." And I was like, "Well, I don't know who you are." And he was part of a team, and so I ended up practicing with them, and I played some games for them. It wasn't anything glorifying, but it felt good to kind of go, oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I did achieve a childhood dream in some kind of
Yeah.
way, but it wasn't really pro. It was and for me anyways. I mean,
That's
you
cool
look
though.
at these guys who
No,
who
it's
who
cool.
really
Don't even
play in
put it
the
down, man. You made money playing hockey. That's great.
yeah, well, I more like got paid for travel to go play
Yeah,
hockey.
it's okay.
Hey, listen, I had a great time, and
Yeah.
we did I was in a couple of tournaments with them, and it was fun. So
All this time when you were a kid and you're playing hockey, were you into magic? Like, because you're a magician,
I
card magic.
was so I had some parallel lanes in my life of
Mm.
things. One was athletics for sure, and namely hockey, but the other one was magic. And then the third one really was film. My mother was a cinephile, and her father was a cinephile, and so from a very, very young age, I was hooked on going to the movies, and it was how we would spend quality time together. And and I got to learn all the classics. She didn't shelter me at all. I mean, as a kid, I watched movies I definitely shouldn't have seen at the ages I did.
Yeah,
Things
yeah,
like The Schindler's List or stuff like that.
yeah.
But she also turned me on to a lot of film noir, and she wasn't someone who would coddle you. So if we were watching On the Waterfront, that's what we were watching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so I learned to kind of and I would want to watch my movies as a kid, Disney or whatever. But pretty quickly, I stopped really caring for a lot of the child's entertainment that was provided for my age group, and I was much more interested in what she was watching. And so I got into film really quickly as a passion. I never really thought about it as, oh, I want to be an actor. I just was enthralled with the art form.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, in my hometown, there was a magician. His name was Misto the Magi, and he would do all the kids' birthday parties, and he would do all the adult parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember watching him. He would do, my one friend's birthday party, and then he would get
Mm-hmm.
hired to do another friend's birthday party. So I'd see the same show over and over, but it was always really magical to me. And so I got infatuated with magic, and
Is that him?
that's him. That's
All right.
him. That's Misto right there. And
Oh,
he
cool.
became a mentor of mine um, fairly quickly. He was always lovely to help me. And I think he saw in me that I actually cared about the craft
Mm-hmm.
of it. And so I did it. And then he left town actually. He went away. He went to Durango, another town in Southwest Colorado. And a woman by the name of Lisa Mena moved to town. And she's a world famous magician, lady magician. She's really known for doing corporate magic, actually, of
Yeah.
all things. But she's a lady of magic. She was on the cover of Magic magazine. She's she's a big deal. And she became my real first major mentor. Yeah, that's her. And
Really?
and then I ended up, it became my first job. I would go to the resort hotels. They had this thing in my hometown called the Free Box, which is a communal outdoor kind of exposed dresser drawer kind of thing, like cabinet thing with a bunch of cubbies. And you would put things in you don't like, and you can take things out that you would want, and you can keep them. It's totally free. And I remember going there and finding a nice dressed shirt, that I thought it looked really
Cool.
good. And
Yeah.
and I went up to the resort hotels, and I would do card tricks and sponge ball routines and make more money than the bartenders in
Really?
tips. And obviously at the time I was probably 12 or 13. And I remember coming back down into town with like a wad of cash and going over to her house and being like, look, I made all this money. And she's like, okay, now you need to get good, because that was just because you're cute.
Yeah, because you're gonna get older.
Because you're going to get older and you got to develop. And so I did. And I ended up taking it and street performing all over the world. I started street performing in Boston Common because I was following my hockey passion, and it took me to Aspen, where I was able to go to school at a really wonderful school. And then and just reading the comment.
Yeah, that dresser, that thing where you put in something and
Yeah.
you take it out. It's
Oh
such a great
yeah.
idea.
The free box is amazing. I mean, we should talk about that, because that would save the world. I
Yeah,
mean,
we gotta have more of
especially you have
those.
to
You see
buy
those little
everything. All that. We
ones
need
for
more free
books.
boxes.
You see the ones for the books,
Yeah,
but why not other
that's
things?
exactly right.
Yeah,
It should be. I mean, I just got a great scarf there today.
really.
We were looking for some uh weather coats, some raincoats for my kids, because they're here right now.
Hmm.
And I found a really great scarf. You never know what you're going to get, but usually
Yeah.
it's your favorite thing. Once you get it, I've only found my favorite things in the free box.
That's so
um,
cool. What does it look like? Camel says, "What does it look like?" Wonder
the
if I
free
could find
box,
it.
it literally looks. You can probably find pictures of it online. Telluride free box, Telluride,
I see
free
it
box,
coming up.
and you'll see it. Yeah, you'll see it.
Let's see here.
See if we can
Oh,
get a picture of it.
interesting. Interesting.
You
Okay,
pretty
I
much
got a good one.
all the kids pretty much grew up. Yeah, that's the free box. And so there's
Wow, look at
books and
that.
toys and it looks kind of like crazy, but There's nobody there, and it's actually been upgraded. That's the original free box. There's a new
Yeah.
one now that's a little bit spiffier,
Uh-huh.
but you wash your clothes, you put them in there. There's etiquette to it, and and you don't put rags and stuff in there. You put things you just don't want, but you know that somebody will love them. And it's been a huge, yeah, it's part of what I think, it's part of who I am, because I can't really speak to my adventures without saying where I come from, which is
Yeah.
this wonderful little place.
Sounds like a
And now
great
it's
place.
changed a lot. It's
Yeah.
changed a lot. But when I was a kid, it was really funky, really cool little Colorado town. So
During the film festival, does it get crazy? Like in
yeah, it
like
gets
Sundance
crazy.
used to get?
It gets crazy. It's not quite as much as Sundance because it's so much more isolated.
Yeah.
Um, and now it's very bougie,
Yeah.
but it's still cool,
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
cool.
You said that your mom was a cinephile and her father was a cinephile. Is that right? Um,
Yeah.
what was she involved in the film festival at all, or was it just
No,
a
actually,
coincidence?
that was a coincidence. No, my mother was a mountaineer.
She was a mountaineer.
She was, yeah. She
Wow.
actually she passed away climbing Mount Everest in 1998.
Really? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So I was kind of, and then my stepmom is a world-class marathoner, trail runner. My dad's an excellent athlete, and he's a very passionate golfer.
So
And
you think you got a lot of your discipline from them?
Absolutely. My uncle Brian was a professional cyclist. He was on the U.S. cycling team in the 80s, and
Wow.
I mean, I've been surrounded, and then not to mention all the million like incredible skiers and athletes and mountain athletes that are in Telluride. And my stepfather, he died with my mom, but he was a world-class mountaineer as well. He was on the USSR climbing team. So I mean, I was always around a bunch of overachievers,
Mhm.
which is a blessing and a curse.
You think
But
so? Why is it a
oh yeah.
curse?
Well, I think because there's a side of that type of level of performance that's obsession.
Mm.
And you know, life isn't about being great. It really isn't at the end of the day. I think life is about being honest.
Mm.
Um, and if in your path of honesty you do something great, that's wonderful. And hopefully you can measure that greatness on how much it touched people.
Yeah.
Um, but if it's just about being great, it's just kind of selfish. And so there's aspects of my mother that I don't like. I don't get to know who she is because she died,
Hmm.
and that was because of her obsession with climbing and not maybe taking into account things she should have. And that's not to say that she wasn't capable of doing what she set out to do. It's just that, I have kids, and I don't know if I would do the same things that she did.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but
amazing. What a
yeah, I
background.
mean, yeah, yeah, it's a very strange background.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say you graduated from high school. What happened then? When did you start traveling as a magician all around the country? And tell me, I'm still, it's like there's so many different threads to pull on this thing that I almost want like a timeline of like how this stuff happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, ever since I was like in high school, I was hitchhiking around Colorado.
Yeah.
I was riding my bicycle from town to town. I was really avid cyclist for a long time. Um, and because of my mother's passing, I had some money from her house to
There's a
go away to
question
school.
here. What were the circumstances of her passing, if you're comfortable telling us? They on the mountain.
We can talk about that.
If it's
It's all
hard,
online.
don't,
If you No, it's fine. I can talk about it. It is all online and you can look it up. She's kind of known as the Sleeping Beauty of Everest. There's a whole thing if you
Mm,
look her up on. Her name is Frances Arsentiev. And that's Russian spelling, Arsentiev. So Fran Distefano. If you looked up Fran Distefano, you'd find her as well. She got up, she summited. She was the first or the second woman to ever summit Everest, I believe, without bottled oxygen. She was the first American woman or first American to ever summit without oxygen, I think, something like that. I don't remember all the accolades, but then they tried to summit the day before and they got caught out because their flashlights ran out of juice. So they had to go back down to high camp. And then they ended up trying to summit the next day. And they did, but they summited late. And so they were coming down in the dark, and I think there was a storm below them, and they got caught at the Hillary Step, which is this kind of last little technical moment before you traverse over and up into the summit. And they spent the night there. In the night, there was a storm. They got separated. My stepfather went down to high camp thinking she made her way down, because at altitude, it's kind of every man for themselves. So you got to imagine that when you're climbing at that altitude, it's like running a 100-meter dash, but you're only able to breathe through a straw. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
So if you're running that hard, and that's all you get to breathe. So it's really hard. So you kind of have to look out for yourself. But they got separated. He went down. She wasn't there. He found out that she was still up above. He ended up getting some canisters, going up, finding her. I think she had busted her knee. He spent the night with her. She passed away sometime in the night, and then he ended up, I believe, jumping into a crevasse. He had a very tragic story too. But if you want to know, that it is all online, and there's much more. You can hear it. You can read all the details and stuff. Yeah, no, not at all.
But anyway, so you got some money, and then you started. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. Then you got some money, and that's when you started traveling?
I got some money, and I was still avid in hockey, and because I was in Italia, there wasn't really any. That's okay. There wasn't really any higher competition for me, and I really wanted to go pro. I really wanted to play. I thought I had what it took, and
that was your whole goal, right? Was to go pro hockey.
You know, at 5'10" or 5'9" at that time, 150
Why are they
pounds.
usually taller? Are hockey players usually?
Oh
taller?
yeah, I mean that if I knew the size I'm now, I'm 6'2", 200 pounds now.
Yeah.
I'm perfect for hockey, but at that time in high school, I wasn't big enough really. But I ended up playing for Aspen, which was a really good team in Colorado. And then I ended up and I went to a really wonderful school in called CRMS for a year. And then that year I still wanted I wanted more. I wanted to play more. So I ended up applying to a school on the East Coast called Cushing Academy. They were one of the better teams in the nation for ice hockey, and I got in. I went and tried out for their varsity A team. Didn't make the varsity A team, but I made the varsity B team. So we would practice with the A's and we would play. And our team was the best in the league, and then the A team was like the best in the country. So it was really good hockey. And at that time, I wasn't necessarily thinking I was going to get any bigger. And I remember that year kind of going, okay, I need to put this down. I'm not going to make it. I don't want to fail at this. I love it too much. And I regret that. I do. Because I think if I had held out, and believed in myself a little more, maybe went and played juniors, I probably could have honestly gone pro. I had the athleticism, and it ended up coming out in my dancing. But at the same time, I would go to Boston Common every weekend when I wasn't playing hockey, and I would street perform. I would do magic on the street. Yeah. So I would do magic on the street. And then I ended up going up and finding this magic company that the oldest or the longest lasting magic company in the world. They're called Le Grand David, and a spectacular magic company in Beverly, Massachusetts. And I spent some time there with Cesario Palese. He's passed away now, and he was wonderful. And years later, when I graduated from high school, I moved to New York first, and I street performed all over New York. And I was pretty much homeless at the time. And
Really?
yeah, I was sleeping on couches and figuring it out in some nights in the park, and but I realized I should go back up to Beverly. So I got a train ticket. No, I got the bus. I got the China bus, the Chinatown bus up to Boston,
Yeah.
got on the train, showed up at the Cabot Street Cinema Theater, and they just welcomed me in with open arms.
Really?
And they were wonderful. And I think, and then I wasn't ready for that kind of love, I don't think,
Really? Really?
because about 2 months later, uh, I had to go. I had to leave. I wasn't.
Hmm.
Something was telling me to go. And I think it was partially just um
Is that the theater?
fear. That's the theater. Yeah, it's a wonderful
Wow.
theater. Yeah, wonderful theater. Learned a
Hmm.
lot of beautiful magic there. They would teach me how to play the piano.
Hmm.
They taught me, and during the week they would play movies.
Oh, really?
And so yeah, so magic was always this weird part of me. And what I came to learn much later is that what I really loved about magic was the acting aspect of it.
Hmm.
Because really, I mean, not to pull the curtain,
Yeah.
but good magic is great acting.
Yeah.
And then there's the technical aspect of it too. So, it's like combining guitar or piano with great emotional and well, what else? And storytelling capability.
Hmm.
Um, but the other part of it too, and I skipped over this, was when I was in Aspen, there was these two cats who ran the Magic Tower. It was a famous um, establishment for magic that was opened by John Denver, of all
Really?
people. Yeah,
Oh,
and
cool.
Ricky, oh, what's his name? Famous magician. He passed away about 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Ricky Jay.
Oh, Ricky
He was
Jay,
the
of
original.
course.
He was the original magician there, and
Really?
he ended up. And then these two other guys came in, Eric Mead and Doc Eason, and I would go up there. It's a bar, mind you, and I would go up there. I would sneak out of my dorm, and I would go up there, and I would sneak into the back and watch them do card work
Ricky Jay was
because they're
unbelievable.
yeah. And so Eric Mead
Yeah.
is and Doc, they were on par with him. They
Really?
were, yeah. Eric Mead is world renowned as one of the best card mechanics, card handlers in the world. And so
Hmm.
they ended up kind of taking me under their wing and showing me the ropes and getting me turned on to people like Di Verne and people like that who really came up with these techniques that came out of a book, a really famous book uh, uh, on how to cheat at poker. Basically, it's where all
Oh,
magic, all card magic is all kind of based off of principles of poker cheating.
yeah. And that
And
when your
so
movie too is called The Card Mechanic, which is that's what it
that's right.
that's a person who cheats at poker, right?
That's a mechanic. Yeah. So a card mechanic, not to be confused with a car mechanic, um, is somebody who cheats at poker, and they use what's called a mechanic's grip. It's where you hold
Yeah.
the cards and you put three fingers across, one on top, thumb on the other side,
Oh,
and you can manipulate just like that, and you
yeah.
can manipulate the cards
Uh-huh.
in a way. And so from a very young age, I developed various technical abilities with cards that um, are, they take years to perfect. And by no means would I would say I have them perfected, but I have, I put in my 10,000 hours with
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
when did you start dancing?
So when I was in high school, I think I don't really remember how it started. I think I took a class because because I wanted to help my skating,
Hmm.
because the turnout that is with ballet is the same kind of muscles that happens with skating. And I think that's how it came about. But I was pulled into it because in my hometown there a woman by the name of Valerie Madonia. She's a wonderful dancer. She was a ABT dancer. She danced with Mikhail Baryshnikov.
Wow.
She was a Joffrey ballet dancer, Valerie Madonia. And she was a Joffrey Ballet dancer. She danced for Alonzo at Lions Ballet, Alonzo King. And that's her. Yeah. And she saw
Wow.
me move and she said, "You are a dancer.
Really?
You should dance." And I always did love to dance. I mean, at the school dances and stuff, I was always break dancing or
Hmm.
trying to break dance or stuff like that. And so it was just kind of like, yeah, let's do it. And when I did get into, the studio, it just felt right to me. I
Yeah.
didn't have to work at it the same way I did with hockey or with
Hmm.
anything else. It just kind of happened. But I picked it up late, so I didn't develop the line that was required to do real classical stuff.
Hmm.
But it did lead me to New York, where I went to the Joffrey Ballet School.
You
I went
did?
late. I did. I
Holy
went to Joffrey
crap.
Ballet School, studied there, and
Wow.
then I stayed there for a summer and a fall semester, and then I realized that it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
There's a theme here,
Yeah. There
but
seems
I
to be.
wanted, but it was because I wanted to be dancing with these particular choreographers and dance teachers in New York. So I ended up stop going to the school, and I would just go to the open classes at dance Broadway Dance Center and all the different studios, Perry Dance and Steps on Broadway and these places, and I would take from world-renowned dance
Yeah.
instructors who are ABT, BAT, New York City Ballet, you name it. And what I found was one teacher. His name is Max Stone. Max Stone is incredible, and
Hmm.
he did contemporary work, and it made sense for me because it was more organic. It was balletic, but it was also I could put my strength into it, and I could
Hmm.
do. I could. It worked through the floor. There was a lot of floor work involved, and at that time, I then met a bunch of different professional dancers who would come through his class to take class.
Yeah.
And I auditioned for Paul Taylor. I almost got into Paul Taylor Dance
Hmm.
Company. I auditioned for Momix. They pulled me up. I was almost with them. Momix broke off of Pilobolus.
Ah.
The founder, Moses Pendleton, he was one of the founders of Pilobolus, and he broke off and made Momix.
Mm.
And and then I met a dancer who was in P7, which is one of the companies that Pilobolus has in an open class. And I said, "Hey, is there any auditions?" And she said, "No, we don't have auditions, but we do have workshops, and you should call them."
Mm.
And so I did, and the rest is history. They ended up pulling me, and I taught for them for a while, and then I went into their show Shadowland, and we toured all over Europe
Really?
uh, for a few years. Yeah, it was great,
Jeez.
and I thought that was going to be my life. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I found it. This is it. I'm gonna dance for this company. I'm gonna like be a janitor for this company. I'm gonna do whatever for this company for the rest of my life. And it just
Yeah.
didn't work out that way.
Huh.
Um, and so yeah, and but at the same time, I had already done the United States of Terra, acting across from Tony Collette and John
Oh, how did that
Corbett.
happen?
I was in I was in LA. So
You were in
after I
LA
left,
during a tour, or how did you end up in LA?
no, I this was before Pilobolus.
Oh.
Um, so when I was 19, when I was in New York, and then I left, and I went up north to do the Magic Company.
Hmm.
I ended up. I said I want to walk for my high school because I'm not going to go to college, so I want to walk in my high school graduation.
Mm.
And they said, well, if you go, you can't come back. And I was like, oh well, I guess I'm going to go then. So so I left. And I walked to my high school graduation, and I ended up getting into this fashion show called the Telluride AIDS Benefit. It's a benefit that helps people with AIDS.
Hmm.
And I walked in it, and I met this great guy. He's a hairstylist, but
Hmm.
he's so much more. He's a wizard. His name is Mooney. He lived in LA, and he was like, "You should come out to LA, and you can stay with me, and you can street perform on the Third Street Promenade in LA." Uh, and so I did. And while I was street performing on Third Street Promenade, I met a director who quickly put me into a short film. It was called Dealing Seconds. It never actually ended up being made, but it was going to be a film about a kid who was really good with cards.
Oh, wow. Perfect for you.
So that was like, okay. And then I ended up getting picked up by Rebel Entertainment, and I was with and I had a manager at the time, and through all of that, and I started doing extra work.
Hmm.
So I went to central casting and stood in line and got extra work going. And it just so happens that one of my high school teachers, her sister was an AD, and at the time she was an AD on the US of Terra.
Hmm.
And so I was staying in Santa Monica, and I would ride my bicycle over Sepulveda into the valley, from Santa Monica every morning to go and do extra work on
Yeah.
set for the US of Terra.
Hmm.
And the ADs are also lovely. And one day at lunchtime I was walking across, I had long hair,
Hmm.
and I was walking across the high school football field where we were shooting. And I guess Brian Danley, the director of the next episode, still couldn't find Jesus.
Oh,
Um,
perfect.
and so
Couldn't
he was
find
like,
Jesus.
that guy, I want that guy.
Yeah.
And so Sharon Swab, wonderful, wonderful woman, she said, "Oh, that's Polly. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's great." And so they just gave me the role. They trusted I could do it.
Mhm.
I was nervous as all hell, and I got the role. I had, my chunk of lines, and I went in. We did it twice. He said, "Nope, we got it on the first take. You did it perfectly how I wanted it, but we'll do it one
Wow.
time for safety." And that was it.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So I acted right across from Tony Collette and John Corbett that day, and
What was it like with
and
Toni Collette? Because she's such a master actor.
God, I mean, both Tony and John were so sweet,
Mm.
like so sweet. They gave me all the attention you could imagine. Um, John, he said, "This character doesn't have a name. We should call him Paul or Polly." And so they did that. But in watching Tony, the focus was there. The focus, the amount of focus that she had, the precision that she had in what she was doing. She wasn't looking, she was completely with me, looking at me, giving me everything I needed to do what I needed to do. But she was also looking through me and totally being this character. And that show, she had to play a multitude of characters because it
Yeah.
was a person who
She's,
had, yeah, she had split personality disorder.
yeah.
So it was, and so watching her do that, I remember at the end of the day, I thought, okay, I got Taft-Hartley to
Hmm.
get to get that role. I I watched these people work the way they did, and I thought to myself, okay, you can't just want to do this. You have to be skilled.
Yeah.
And so it was like watching Bruce Lee or anybody with like these kind of skills do what they
Mhm.
do. And I went, I want to do this, but if I'm going to do this, I want to come into this with skill.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm going to step away from acting, and I'm going to go really focus on my dance. I'm going to really focus on my magic. I'm going to focus on learning Commedia dell'arte. I toured through Europe a number of summers on a unicycle. And I just said, I want to have these skills that make you undeniable.
Mhm.
And I think I overdid it a bit.
Yeah.
I probably
Maybe.
should have headed back to LA a little bit sooner. But at the same
What
time,
about acting? What about, did you take acting classes?
I've taken every kind of acting class. So I used to study with John Kirby,
Hmm.
John Kirby Studios
Yeah.
out in Hollywood.
Hmm.
And that was pretty brief. But then I ended up finding this guy, Art Wolf.
Mm.
And Art Wolf, he had a studio downtown, and he worked with Sean Penn when Sean Penn was young. And he gave me my most formative kind of um, training. And it was like, oh, wow. And he was a New York guy. His technique was all about the New York stuff. And I remember really kind of tapping into something else from that point. And then from there, I was just off to the races. I studied everything from Stanislavski technique to Meisner to Adler to everything. And
Mm.
I think what I've come to find as I've gotten older,
Hmm.
is that acting is the perpetual state of learning.
Mm.
You're constantly having to be open to being a novice. And so you step into the room and somebody says, no, that's not how that's done. You need to do it this way. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. You need to have that open-minded ability to just be malleable, and not just for a director who might say, no, I want it done differently. And you go, okay, it's just yes and.
And for people
And I
like
love
you,
that.
that's ideal. Acting is ideal because acting is always about having a new skill or learning, putting your feet in somebody else's shoes who are, maybe not you, obviously. You're bringing
Yeah.
yourself to it, but you're also surrounding yourself with their surroundings and their skills and all that. So you're always learning like that too.
Well, I mean, and then, this might be a good moment to kind of step into Ivana Chubbuck
Hmm.
for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd been in the UK. It was very hard for me to be in the UK. I didn't realize I was going to be living in Glasgow, Scotland. My
Hmm.
life didn't work out the way I thought it would. I wouldn't change a thing. I
Yeah.
learned perseverance and the imperfection of who I am uh, in the time I was there.
Hmm.
But when I did finally get the opportunity last fall, really to come back to LA for the first time in a long time, in about a decade,
Hmm.
I stepped into the Chubbuck studio, and I watched the master class, and I was in the back row, and I couldn't stop crying because I was
Yeah.
surrounded by all these people who cared about this thing as much as I did.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can't really say why you care. Like,
Hmm.
it's not like I can equate it to, oh, I care about this because I want to be famous. It's like, no.
Hmm.
I love this process. I love this I think it's also kind of the question of, why am I the way I am?
Yeah.
Why are we the way we are?
Yeah.
And with that technique, with what she's doing, that hit me so hard and continues to hit me so hard, is stripping away. I mean, I'm one to get into an accent, and suddenly we're back in, and we're in New York, and we're going to talk like this, and it's going
Right.
to be
Right.
great. We're going to, and I came in and I did my audition from On the Waterfront.
Yeah.
It wasn't him, Charlie. It was you.
Yeah.
you know, and and um and it's like, lose the accent, lose this, lose that, less. Just be. You already have it. You
Yeah.
have everything you need. You just need to trust that and open up to it. And that's and even more with that studio in particular, what I'm loving so much is the catharsis of it as well.
Hmm.
It's like for the first time, I'm really I'm realizing that, oh, so much of acting for me is also my therapy. It's also healing me,
Hmm.
um, and making me a better person. Oh, there she
Hmm.
is.
There she
Yeah.
is.
And so I work primarily with her daughter,
Yeah.
Claire, who's
Claire.
wonderful, and we've developed an incredible working relationship. And I continue to be inspired to be a part of that studio
It's so
for years
interesting
to
too
come.
how people, there's Claire,
There's
people
Claire.
who, sometimes when you talk about acting being therapeutic, people are like, oh no, I don't give a shit about that. Um, it's pretty amazing to use it as a therapy as well. And it also makes your acting better, I think, because you're working through an actual personal issue.
One
Uh,
100%. I think that there's a couple of things here. One, when you get on set, you have to do whatever works.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I love the technique that they teach, and the 12 steps and how to break down a script. That's unbelievable. It's incredibly amazing. I think the biggest reason I like it is because it's kind of an impossibility to juggle 12 things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so because
That's
that
why the
is
12th
it's
step
so hard, yeah, is let it
is let
go,
it go.
right? Yeah, which I say let the bleep go. But it's like, part of it is, for me, it forces you to stop thinking, and
Yeah.
that becomes flow state. That becomes just like athletics, where you're in the tunnel vision. You're not thinking, you're just reacting and acting and being. And
Mhm.
that's the sweet spot. And then the other part that I love about it is, because it's so rigorous in terms of, you've got to, and if you know the people in the classes who are doing the work the way that it's designed,
Yeah.
because you can tell.
Yeah.
And you can tell because it's, it's coming through their pores,
Hmm.
you know Claire's kind of telling me right now, like, it's just coming through your pores. You need to like maybe make it me a little bit more action based, like make the choices a little bit more. But part of why I love it is because if I put in the work and I really do the work and I really find the substitutions, I really find all the things that you need to find to do the work, you're not doing anything. It's just you're along for the ride.
Yeah.
And then I find that, yeah, go ahead.
I always say that you do the work and then you let it go, and then that work bubbles up naturally, just like in life. Your thoughts
100%.
just bubble up. You don't go, I'm going to do this. It just happens naturally, like
Yeah,
a
it's not a
river, a
choice.
stream.
You're not going, well, and now I'm going to make this choice because I think if I put the glass down like this,
Yeah.
it's so much better. No,
Right. And you can see an actor doing that when they're doing that. It's like, oh, I'm doing
Yeah.
this because this is going to look menacing or whatever. Or I'm
Yeah.
doing this because Robert De Niro did it when I saw it. Or
exactly.
whatever.
Right, exactly. I really like that, how he held the cigarette.
That moment where, yeah.
then,
You can see people doing that,
so-
and that puts you in a state of where you're observing yourself, which is not where you want to be.
right.
You want to be.
And then the other part of it too is that, so much of it with my own traumas, and everybody has their traumas and stuff, but we live in this place where we can be victim to our life. And I think a lot of the work has to do with not being a victim.
Mhm.
It's like there's so many times where we're done and Claire's kind of going, so how did that feel? and I'm like, I don't know, how did it look? But it's like, because she's like, 'cause it kind of felt wimpy, didn't it? Kind of felt like you were like kind of victim-y, huh? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, and so you start to see where you're doing that in your own life. And it's funny because all the things that you list off that I do,
Mhm.
it's really one thing for me. And I think that kind of speaks to the Chubbuck technique as well, is that when you start to really get in the flow of it, all of those things become one thing.
Mhm.
And it's more like you're working through the script and you go, oh, there's a memorable object, or oh, that's a previous circumstance, or instead of being like, right, I'm going to go through this and I've got my substitution and I'm going to go through, being meticulous like that. It's such when you're really doing it, you're kind of breathing through it. And for me, acting led to filmmaking because I wanted to act more, because we live in a saturated industry where we don't get to do it. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I've got to make my opportunities.
Did you make that decision when you were in Glasgow?
I did, because the industry is non-existent there.
Yeah.
So I was traveling to London,
and also
for
you were an
auditions.
American, which is probably not the greatest position to be in.
No, because they were giving American roles to British people, and they were giving all the other British roles to British people.
Yeah.
And I could put on a good Glaswegian accent, I can put on a good RP accent, I can do all that, but it didn't matter because they're very patriotic in that they want to push their people.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the thing right now in the world, which is sad in many ways, not to get into politics at all, but I was fortunate enough to do some motion capture, and that came out of being a dancer. I went and auditioned for Rockstar North, so I ended up doing Red Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 5 motion capture stuff, and that was great, and the money was good. And then I did a slew of different commercials and small roles. I was in Outlander, and I was in a meta headset. Yeah, nothing you would recognize. I'm number third person in the blurry section of the screen. Yeah. And last year I was fortunate enough, I auditioned through my dancing ability, I was able to get into the Frankenstein film.
Oh, were you?
Guillermo del Toro. But then weeks before we started shooting our scenes, they cut the scenes because they didn't have the time.
Oh, no.
So, that's the nature of this stuff. I mean, I've auditioned for everything's happening in the UK in a lot of ways now too, in a weird way. So I auditioned for Running Man. I auditioned for all sorts of stuff. But I turned to filmmaking because I said, I don't want to be the victim of my own circumstances. I want to control my fate.
Yeah.
And so I'm failing upwards. I mean, I've been really fortunate to come together with other filmmakers,
Hmm.
and we're working diligently to make things happen.
Yeah.
And, and we're just working with what we can, like zero funding, 100% effort, and pedal to the metal, and seems to be working.
Yeah.
I'm finding people like you,
That was
and
great working on your set. That was
Archer,
super
and
fun. And Archer, yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
brought it. It was awesome.
Oh, good. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear it. You shot that film in Glasgow and then came here and did pickups.
We did, yeah. So we shot that. I wrote that film with Mark Goger. It was an idea that I had for about 10 years.
Hmm.
And I was like, I always knew I wanted to do a film that was based around my card work that kind of stemmed out of Dealing Seconds, that short film that didn't get
Yeah.
made years
Yeah.
before.
Hmm.
And then I said, well, let's make a gangster movie that's a film noir and based in Glasgow. New Yorker comes to help his mentor. Mentor gets killed. He takes vengeance not with a gun, but with his ability to take them down with his card play. And so I did a Bruce Lee movie of card play where like all this stuff where you look at anything like Rounders or the Cincinnati Kid or whatever, they're already holding the cards. They've already dealt the cards. They've already done all this stuff. And in my movie, I wanted to make sure that you saw that not just the hands were doing the work, but I was the hands that were doing the work. And if you were a card sharp or if you had the ability, you could see that was a bottom deal. That was a second
Really?
deal.
Really?
That was
So
a
it's like
stack. He just
legitimate.
stacked the deck there. It's
Yeah.
totally legit.
Ah, that's cool.
And so so we've been working diligently to get that finished, and we're hoping 2027.
Hmm.
But in the meantime, I started making another film, and I went to Barcelona last week and shot
Wow.
for 6 days.
Oh my God.
And
Wow.
this one was a lot more optimistic. It's crazy. It's a solo movie basically. I'm shooting it on my own.
Hmm.
Not all of it, but half of it. In
Yeah.
Spain, there's a big portion where I'm literally using different. Now they make these drones that can follow you.
Hmm.
So all the exterior shots of this guy who's a street performer,
Hmm.
I did it with a drone that like
Nice.
it takes off from my hand and then it does all the work. And some of it doesn't work, and others there's a lot of miss moments, but
There's so
there's a
many
lot of
different
moments
ways
that
to
really
film
work
things
too.
now, like a drone that follows you, or they have those 360 cameras where you can film like a whole thing and then cut out whatever portion you want.
Well, yeah, and then you've got time code, which is a magic trick in itself. So I have multicam when all
Yeah.
these scenes that I shot, it's about a guy who's dealing with heartbreak. His partner just left him, and there's all sorts of stuff there. And I thought, well, I don't want to have a crew in this apartment in Barcelona with him because I want him to be in solitude.
Mm.
And well, how do I do that? Well, why don't I just set up 3 cameras, make sure they're all in time code. I can do that myself. I can press record. I can make sure the sound
I
is all
love
rolling.
shooting things in multicam.
And
I
do
do
it.
that too in our house. We set up 3 cameras,
Yeah.
layer them in Premiere, sync them all up,
Yeah.
and then you can just go camera to camera, switch. It's amazing.
Yeah, and pick whatever is like the best moment, and it
Yeah.
tells the story great.
Yeah, and everything's in sync.
So yeah,
That's great.
yeah. So that's what I'm doing for this film for that stuff. And then there's another section that'll happen in LA because it's a story happens with this artist who's going to Spain to research his next project based on old work he did as a kid, street
Mhm.
performing. But his life is in LA, and so we'll see kind of flashes back to his life and how the breakup kind of happened.
Amazing.
And so it kind of talks about that. And yeah.
You do your own editing,
but-
or do you get someone to do it for you?
With the Card Mechanic, I have a wonderful editor that I got on board. I thought to myself, I can't edit this. I can't edit
Mhm.
this. And so I got a wonderful editor. He's actually a colorist. Andrew Saff. He colored films like Alien Romulus and
Oh, wow.
Predator Badlands, and he's done Slow Horses for Apple. I mean, he's incredible. And before that, he was a cinematographer. He was a cinematographer for National Geographic. He was the one who shot with us that day. He was our DOP.
Really? Oh, yeah,
and,
of course.
Yeah, so he's a wonderful guy. And what I found in the process was actually not. This isn't to take away from his ability at all, but I should have just assembled the film myself.
Because you have
and then given it to him.
Yeah.
And so with this next film, I am intentionally going to assemble everything myself. And I just use Final Cut Pro 10. I don't
Yeah.
use Premiere. I like a pair of scissors, some glue,
It's all
even
with
if it's
what you're used to,
virtual.
whatever you're used to.
Just yeah, and then once it's assembled, then I'll give it to people like Andrew,
Yeah.
and they'll then make sure it looks right, it's coded right, all that stuff.
Super
So,
cool. Well, we ran out of time, unfortunately. In fact, we're 5 minutes over. This has been
oh
such an
God.
incredible journey through your life, and I can't wait to see what happens next because it's like I don't know, it's like an amazing novel or something or a series. But I love the fact that you follow. I don't know if you feel like, do you ever feel like you quit things too early? Or do you feel like you don't seem to have issues with letting go of things, but maybe to a fault. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think not, obviously we're running over, so I'll try to be brief, but one thing leads to another. If I can
Mhm.
give any advice, and maybe this is the best way to kind of say it as a kind of my closing argument,
Let's hear it.
um, is don't be afraid to put something down. If it wasn't for hockey, I wouldn't have made my way to Boston,
Hmm.
where then I met Le Grand David, or Aspen, where I met Eric and Doc.
Yeah.
Um, if it wasn't for that, for my magic, I wouldn't have necessarily gotten into my acting. If it
Hmm.
wasn't for working with John Corbett and Tony Collette, I wouldn't maybe have thought to myself, I need to go have a dance career while I'm young. And I look like I'm
Hmm.
going to be 40 this year. And at
Wow.
that time I looked like I was about 15.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't I go have a dance career and then I'll come back into this?
Yeah.
So I think you can do more. It just means that there's certain things that you don't necessarily have in your life. And for me, I'm not into alcohol. I don't,
Hmm.
party a lot. I don't, for me, and that's not to say that those things are bad. We all need the time to decompress and all that.
Hmm.
But you can do so much more than you're told if you put your mind to it. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it all. And for me, with drawing and painting and muraling, which we didn't talk about at all,
My
that's
gosh.
just the distillation of a film.
Yeah. Hmm.
If you look at Michelangelo's work on the Sistine Chapel, or you look at yeah, it's my backyard in Scotland. You look at any of that stuff, the greats, Caravaggio or Rembrandt, and I'm talking about realist painters, not necessarily abstract painters, but they, they're telling a story in one picture.
Hmm.
It's like a feature film in
Hmm.
one
Yeah.
panel, in
Right.
one frame.
One frame.
And so, yeah. So if you can
Yeah.
tell a whole story in one frame, then you can tell
Yeah.
a story. And so when I filmmake, I take the time to draw more than my storyboards. I will take the time to draw each scene and distill it down into one frame.
Oh, I like
And
that.
that's
Yeah.
even more important than the storyboards itself, because the storyboards, what I find is like the camera is much better than to be more creative and go, okay, well, we can do all this sorts of movement here and this and that. But I need this one frame for these people in the next 3 minutes, because each scene's probably about 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 5 if you're going to really, Scorsese it or whatever.
Hmm.
But it's going to be this thing. I need you to see this frame, and that might be the thing you put in the trailer, or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's that moment. It's when Jaws is eating the guy in the
Oh my
lake.
God.
It's
Captain Quint.
you're right, right. Like it's
Yeah.
these moments like that. Those are the things you got to find, and you got to
Yeah.
find them. And so I love to draw in that way, and I use that through and so for me, all of these things,
Hmm.
I wish more of the actors, and I say this only with love, but I wish more of the actors I see on stage or in studios or in the films would take dance,
Hmm.
because it teaches you how to move.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to be eloquent. It teaches you how to, just like I love to play guitar and sing, not because I'm a great singer or a great guitarist, but because it teaches you how to use your voice,
Yeah.
teaches you how to. And so these things, I think we've lost a lot of that tradition from yesterday. That was
Definitely.
Gene Kelly and all these guys who could do so
Hmm.
much. I mean, they could do so much.
So
There was
much.
no special effect. There was no special effects. They were doing
No.
that stuff on roller skates. They were
Yeah.
doing this stuff.
And
So
James
like,
Cagney tap dances, and you're like, what?
ex- right, and really well.
Really well.
and
Like,
so
not even just like kidding. Yeah.
and so I think you have to treat it as though you only have one shot at this thing.
Mhm.
and be in love with the process. And the process is all of these different activities. It's all of these different things because they're going to open you up, not because you need to be the best, but because it's all about being in the flow state. Everybody's so worried about the best technique, the best pen, the best camera, the best. None of that matters. None of it matters. It doesn't even matter if the movie gets out into the world, or if it takes you 10 years. It took me 10 years to learn how to edit my first major film that I made. It was a short film called My Andromeda. It's on YouTube.
Mhm.
It's 27 minutes. We shot
Yeah,
it on a red camera.
it's beautiful too.
And oh, thank you very much. It
Yeah.
took me 10 years to edit that. And I did all the
Wow.
animation for it and everything else. And I
Oh
found
my
a
God.
wonderful musician to do that. And I sent it to a bunch of film festivals, didn't get in anything. And I
It's
was like, all
really
right, well,
something.
I guess that's it. And I put it up on YouTube, and the next day it had like 15,000 views or something. So I was
Yeah,
like,
it's a
oh,
beautiful
okay,
dance film.
thank you.
Um,
Yeah,
I loved it on the beach when you're on the beach.
yeah,
Another
yeah,
beach one, and also with that ball.
yeah, yeah. That was contact juggling. I took a long time to figure
That
out how
was
to like roll a
exactly that.
ball.
So I had somebody on here that was contact juggle. We'll just put it. I gotta show you.
Ah, there it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it takes a while to get into it, but
I know. I definitely. And so that I don't know if you can hear me while
yeah,
I.
I can hear you. In fact, I'll bring you on just a sec here.
So like that scene, that was shot at Chapman University
Oh, really?
with a friend of mine. They let us use the soundstage there, the black box, and then I ended up 2D animating like Batman, the original style of Batman, like 1986 Batman with
Yeah.
Keaton.
Uh-huh.
I painted in the whole thing as if it was this massive cave, but that was just a
Oh,
black box, and so I cut
yeah.
that all out and did like old school VFX for that.
Oh, I
And
see.
yeah, and so but that routine that took me probably 9 months to figure out how to do.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and I loved it, and that music it's called the Duduk, and
Mm.
it's a traditional kind of flute. This wonderful musician in the UK, Sergio, did for me, and he ended up doing all the music for the film. But I found him 10 years after I even made the film.
Really?
So I made the film without any music. We had substituted music for it, and then I made the film
It goes so well.
with yeah. Well, and it's because he played the music to my movement really.
Oh, he did.
So
Oh my God.
yeah. And so that was that. And the film itself is called My Andromeda, and it was based
Hmm.
off the idea of what if we didn't really know the story of Atlas.
Mm.
And so my character is Atlas, and he
Oh,
gets
wow.
visited by a star, and that the ball is supposed to be a star, and
Wow.
um, and then it gets stolen by another goddess, and that's Andromeda. And he chases her into the mortal world, and they fall in love, and then she becomes Gaia, and then he ends up holding her on his shoulders. So yeah,
Beautiful. That is incredible.
there's this move here took me forever
Oh
to
my
figure
God.
out.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Holy crap. That's amazing.
and so and that was so that's a little bit of my Andromeda. Yeah.
Ah, that's something, man. That is something.
Yeah.
And people can check it out on on your YouTube channel. You've got two. You've got your own, and then you've got one for your film company.
Yeah, I've
Um,
got LeFranc Films. I think it's on LeFranc Films. I
okay.
think if you look up on My Andromeda 2025,
Yeah.
My Andromeda 2025, that's what it's titled as. I don't know why I put it that way, but that's what it is, and so it stays.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
um, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Well, this has been
But
great. Now we're gonna do a dance break of something
okay.
absolutely absurd. And I want to thank everybody for watching the show, and I want to thank you for being on the show and being so open and just wonderful because there's so much wonderful information in this show. Really appreciate
Well,
it.
thanks for having me come on. It's been an honor and a pleasure to know you first of
Yeah.
all, and then to be on your
Thanks.
show it's great. So
Thanks,
thank you
Paul.
for having me.
Appreciate it. All right, dance break time. This has been Lunch Therapy. This is oh, it's not Sabotage, but this is some hilarious folks. Try and do what he's doing. Like aerobics.
I like the dog. Suki. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week for more Lunch Therapy.